Good morning. So, hello, Bhavna. ठीक है, show करता हूँ बस. So, welcome everyone. आज हम लोग today we will begin with a little bit about three-dimensional modeling, if that how we can do, and in finite element analysis only, we have this facility that we can do very good uh, three-dimensional modeling, and it's actually that's the crux of finite element analysis, that it can be very easily molded from 2D to 3D, irrespective of what kind of work we want to do, because the whole concept behind finite element analysis is basically dividing into two elements and calculating at nodes, right? So similar thing can be done in 3 dimensions, just that the shape of these elements changes. So if you remember our discussions, the shape of uh, 3 dimensional elements can be like a tetrahedral, right? Or a rhombohedral, like a cuboidal shape, or it can be something in the 3 dimension where curves are also involved. So to second degree tetrahedral like has all the edges that are curved, so that can be more suitable for curvilinear design, right? So in that sense, what we will do today is we'll see how a basic simulation problem, a basic problem of uh, any physical question, or in the sense of any physical query, can be basically solved using some simple simulation exercises that would have taken practically a long amount of time and large resources basically to fulfill that. So has anyone started working on that, the problems which were supposed to be given day before yesterday, but I think you got it yesterday, right? So anyone started on that, the simulation ones? Perfect. Swati has started. Uh, I think most of them are basic. Last one we have is a 3-part problem where we are doing the slope stability analysis for uh, for a mine slope. Let's open that just for a sec, and let me share this screen. Right. So the interface you're seeing right now, it's called a workbench of ANSYS. So ANSYS is another software that we will be discussing today. Some capabilities, it has very wide capabilities as compared to rock science or slope or slide that we were working on. So I'll just introduce that, and let me first bring uh, the assignment that we had, right? So just a sec. So just I think you have all seen this. So only 5 questions are there. These are more into how you apply the physical exercises to get the results in form of simulations, right? So first one is the steel bar problem, where the stainless steel beam is there. It can be assumed as a rectangular cross section if we talk about 3 dimension, which is fixed at one end, loaded at another, right? And length and width are given. And what we have to do is basically simulate it using FEM. So we are using these phase for now for this problem. And we can very easily calculate after simulation what will the maximum strain and location of maximum strain, right? And we can find the total deformation. So I think this one is very easy. Second part is this one. This is a little bit trickier. This one is about what will be the effect of loading on the foundation. So we have done few examples of this also. So we basically do it in stages, right? We first do the simulation for only the foundation. Then we start dumping material on that. So before this, we went through exercise of RE wall, right? So we were seeing for RE wall, there is a tutorial for that. Another example we saw was how much stress it is having when open dump or our dump slope is on top of the foundation soil. So last time we saw that also. Similar work. We go for the foundation, then we put this heap, which is idealized right now in form of a triangle. So we can simulate that and see how much deformation is going to happen on the foundation, right? And it is in second part, it is given that if the deformation exceeds 50 centimeter, it fails. So what will be the maximum height we can dump the material till? So you can try a few times what are the various heights we can reach. The only constraint is that the angle of repose will remain same, right? So whatever height you increase, similarly the extent of this material will also increase, right? So do take care of that. So these type of, you have to basically transform these into geometries. So maybe start with this point, the last point at 0, 0, uh, and to keep on building on with respect to the coordinates. So minus 0, minus 20, minus 20 plus 100 or something like that. And then you can calculate it using the Excel exercise we did. Similarly, we can get all the dimensions, right? The coordinates, and just start the simulation. Material properties are already given for both of the materials. In question 3, this is about LEM, limit equilibrium. We did in slide, more basic. The geometry can be calculated based on these dimensions. So again, do some Excel exercise or just manual calculations will also do. Taking maybe this point as 0, 0, you can calculate all others with respect to the dimensions that are given, right? And do a limit equilibrium analysis, find the factor of safety, right? And based on the the most critical failure surface, find this D. So this is the way in which generally we try to find what is the bolting length that is required for the stabilization work. So critical depth failure is D. So we can actually, in the next question, the same thing is done, that find the factor of safety of the supported slope. So we have basically supported with the length of D, bolt length D, and they are basically spaced throughout this at the grid size of 3 by 3, right? So inclination at 45. So simply add support to the existing problem and simulate and see if there is a change in factor of safety or not. And then generate a simulation report. You have seen how the report is generated. You can do that for both of the exercises, 3 and 4. So 3 and 4 are limit equilibrium based. Fifth problem is more into repeating the same, but doing it in finite element and seeing how the factor of safety can be done by SRF, right? So you have to find two SRFs, one with the existing condition and one with the stabilized condition. The D you can take from this question 4 only. So I think this will become easier, right? I think most of the things are clear, and it will be nice to do it and simulate and see what kind of results you get. If any questions are there in these, do ask. what I want to do today is, if I can basically, let's say, translate this problem, question 1, into a 3-dimensional problem. So suppose a very simple example of this beam. Let us assume this beam being a cross section of a square, right? So if this is 0.2, that is 20 centimeters around. So 20 centimeter by 20 centimeter will be the cross section, right? And the length will be of 2 meters. So let's do that. Let's see if this can be simulated into 3-dimensional problem, and we can use ANSYS in this. Okay, so let's keep this problem with us, and we'll keep on coming back to it and seeing what we can do. Okay, so in order to understand how we transform things into 3 dimension and to simulate, we have to understand what's the basic behind it, uh, and what are the additional things we have to take care of, right? So before that, this interface is called workbench interface. When you have ANSYS, when you will work here, you will see there are many modules on the left, right? And this basically workbench integrates all these modules. So modules, what it basically means is we can do different kind of finite element analysis based on different physical parameters. Like we learned when we were doing about finite element analysis, right? We can simulate different things like heat transfer. We can simulate structural analysis that we do generally, right? We can do computational fluid dynamics, where fluid flow and uh, its characteristics are measured, right? So all this can be done in finite element analysis, but we were not able to do that in just phase or slide, which are very specialized softwares, right? Phase 2 specifically. So this software, ANSYS, is basically a universal finite element software. You can do any of these stuff here. I think it's a multi-physics software, so many things can be done. So on the right, this is a little bit small, but on your right, on your left, sorry, you can see what kind of models can be done, modeling can be done. So we have electrical modeling, we have fluid flow or the CFD type modeling, we have acoustics, right? We have hydrodynamics, engine modeling, magnetostatic, and so many things we can actually do. And why so many things we can do is basically because it's based on physics, and every physical phenomena that we see here is basically has a reliable equation that we can, as a group of equations, we can work on as main functions, right? So for our case, we use this static structural kind of module. Now all these modules have different components. So you will see when I double click this static structural, it will basically bring this in our main project. So you can see now the static structural module has come, right? So in finite element analysis, when we did for phase, you were seeing that how we had to, first draw the geometry, right? And then give material properties. Then we do meshing, and then we do loading, and then the processing, and then the interpretation, right? We see the contours and how the stresses and strains are distributed. Same things are there, but for each and every type of processing stage, the pre-processing stage, the processing, and the post-processing, we have different set of softwares for inbuilt in this. And why that is required is because we are basically introducing more and more complexity in our work. So for example, first it says engineering data. Engineering data basically means what kind of materials we want to introduce, right? So if we double click it, basically it will say, give us a good library of what materials are available with it, and what are in this project. So for now, in this project, you can see there is a structural steel interface, right? And if as it is already selected, you can see what are the properties that are there for structural steel. So on the below side, you can see density that is given for it, right? There is a Young's modulus that is given, right? And Poisson's ratio is given, and other characteristics like ductility, whatever is pre-fed into that, that is already there. So many properties are already there. We can actually add many more materials as we require. There is a good library that exists in ANSYS. So all the materials have pre-fed properties. So if you go for this engineering data source, you can actually get many more materials, like what kind of material you want. Suppose general materials. In general materials, you have a list of sample materials. So many categories like composite materials, geomechanical materials, and in that also we can find many more. Like for example, let's say we want to introduce uh, some some dolomite material, like or we want to introduce sandstones. So all the properties of sandstone are basically imported, already fed in general sandstones. Obviously, for these are also sourced from one place or the other. Like the Young's modulus of sandstone here is given as 3.4 into 10 to the power 10 Pascal, right? And the Moore Coulomb failure criteria is given here. So yield strength, yield surface, initial inner friction angle, and so on, all given. But they are sourced from certain location. Some study might have been done. So all the sources are also given here, and their links are also here. So we can see, or it's one easy way is to just double click it and add it to our material library, which is just by uh, add to this one. And if we see our material library now, we will have a stainless steel that was already by default we had, right? And we'll also have our sandstone. So you can see here. In case we don't find our material, like for example, we have a very specific kind of sandstone, or we have a soil kind of, so we can search for these, or we can just make our own. So we have dump. Suppose dump material is there for us. So we want to make a dump material. So we made a dump material. Now we have to give it properties. And the amount of data you can give is based on what kind of analysis you want to do, right? So suppose we want to do just the structural analysis. So for a structural analysis, we know what kind of values are required. So like for example, density will be required. So let's put on density. Right, and then we can give many other things, like suppose as a linear elastic model can be given. So in that, we can give Young's modulus, Poisson's ratio, and bulk modulus, shear modulus. It will automatically calculate, and then we can give some additional things like suppose we have compressive strength or tensile strength. We can give all this ultimate compressive strength. So we can give all these data. We can give whatever data we can give, that will be useful. And at all other interpretations, it will calculate on its own. So for example, we give a density for a dump material to be, suppose in kg per meter cube, it is 1800 kg per meter cube, right? And in isotropic, we can derive from, so all these Young's modulus, Poisson's ratio, bulk modulus, and shear modulus, if you remember your basic rock mechanics, these are all related. So if we get any two values of these, we can find all other moduluses based on these values. If you want to see relations, just search bulk modulus in Google. Let me give it an idea how it is done. Very good relations are there. So like bulk modulus, and if you search this, uh, net is working or not. Okay. So all these relations, if you go to just a Wikipedia also, at the bottom, these are the conversion formulas. So all these relations, bulk modulus, Young's modulus, Lehm's first parameter, stress modulus, Poisson's ratio, P-wave modulus, all these are related to each other. If you know any of these two, you can find all others. Like for example, you can find K or bulk modulus if you have suppose the Young's modulus and the Poisson's ratio. So Young's modulus is represented here by E, Poisson's by nu. So E nu wherever you find, you can find all the formulas based on that. So E nu, and that gives bulk modulus by this, and Lehm's constant by this. We can get a shear modulus, we can get P-wave modulus, the P-wave, S-wave modulus, both are there with us. And so all things can, all these are basically related to each other. So that's why this also does the same thing. You can derive all the values from Young's modulus and Poisson's ratio. So if we have a Young's modulus of suppose 800 kilopascal, so you can just give that value. So we don't have kilopascal, so we'll just give 800,000, right? And Poisson's ratio of suppose 0.35. So all things will be directly calculated based on this. Compressive ultimate strength we can give for our material, suppose like 3 or 4 megapascals. So let's say this in megapascal and 3 megapascal. So that basically defines our material by our own. So if we have these properties with us, we can give. If we have these pre-fed, we can check if the properties are suitable. So for example, sandstone was pre-fed. So we can just give a cursory look that, okay, whatever we want, maybe our sandstone values are different. So we can actually edit these easily. So after editing, they will automatically change as we want. So all these are good facilities here, right? So for now, we just need the structural steel, but let's keep that. Doesn't matter how many we define, right? So that was engineering data. In geometry, there we have a full CAD-based geometry design. So if we use the design modeler, that was an old version of design modeler in this on ANSYS. Even though it is old, it is quicker. The new version is quite heavy on the software side, so I won't open it now, otherwise it will take a long time. But the design modeler we will open. And it's all based on similar to what kind of AutoCAD analysis we do. So three-dimensional modeling more requires much more, you can say, a little bit more complexity if we are working on converting from 2D to 3D. But if we want to make intricate designs, suppose like mechanical parts, or we want to create geometries that are totally irregular but are in three-dimensional, we have to, like use more tools. It's just not like lines and curves won't be sufficient for us, right? So that's why we can very easily create geometries. So let's do a sample example. We had this sorry, we had our this with us, right? The problems we had yesterday. So let's take this problem, and so we have a solid stainless steel bar with which is fixed at one end, and the dimensions will be 0.2 by 0.2 meters. So those are 200 mm by 200 mm, right? And the length is 2 meters, so 2000. And we have a pulling force of 10 tons. So we will convert that as well. So let's try and find out this. We'll use the stainless steel properties that are already fed in this ANSYS, so we won't be changing that. So let's see what we have. So we have opened this geometry. Now the easy thing is if you have some experience in CAD designing, that will be more intuitive to you if you want to design those. Otherwise, geometries, it is easy to just use one plane. So we can use the X and Y plane to draw our geometries. And these geometries can be converted into three-dimensional figures. So I'll show you how to do that. So let's take this example of a beam. So we want to create a new sketch. So we put a new sketch here. Uh, just have a look of what we can do right now. Don't think how just to don't try to remember what we have to do, but see what we can do here right now. Okay. So we draw the sketch. We can start the sketching by using all these facilities that we have. Let's draw this in X and Y planes. So we use the Z plane as our outbound plane and X and Y plane as our plane of work. So let's make a rectangle taking center as origin and one corner as origin, and let's keep it this much. And later on, as we made a simple rectangle, we can actually change its dimensions. So if we go to the dimensions and we restrict its dimensions of horizontal and vertical, uh, just a sec. So horizontal dimensions can be simply selected by selecting the two extents, right? What have I selected? Horizontal, right? Sorry. So just the horizontal one can be selected by selecting the two these things. This is represented here by H2, right? And vertical again similar to that. So why I'm doing this is basically making these variables as H2 and V3 here somehow. And in on your left, you can see I can change these values. So I want these dimensions to be 0.2 meters and 0.2 meters, right? Both of them. So I will change those. And if I zoom in now, uh, so sorry, yeah. So this you can see we have made a 200 mm by 200 mm box. Now this will be basically the cross section. This represents the cross section, and we will be converting this cross section to a three-dimension figure. So let's bring it in three dimension. If you see in a orthographic projection that way. And the simplest tool, the most useful tool that for converting any figure from 2D to 3D is either filling this up with filling this up with a material to convert it into a surface, but surface still is a two-dimensional thing. If you want to make it in a three-dimension, the most useful tool is the extrude tool. Extrude tool basically does this conversion for this cross section into the main beam. So let's see what it does. I use this extrude tool here, and it asks me to select the geometry. So I can select the geometry here and apply. So it has selected the sketch that I made. And there are a few more things that we can do. Add material is a way to tell this design that whether I want any existing material to be similar to that, or if I add more material, will it be integrated with the original design or will be separate? So for now we have just one material, so it doesn't matter for us. But if we have like so many sketches, like one here, one over that, another over that, and it wants to understand if we want to use same material or different material for that. So if we want to use different material, we can use add frozen. That is here. And if we want to use the same material, we can add material. So for now, our work, it's quite okay. And in the direction vector, which direction we want to basically extrude it. So you can give a normal direction. It can be very other directions as well, like uh, not perpendicular. It is for now it is normal. So let's click normal. Extent type is fixed. It can be variable as well, but for now it is not required. We need 2 meters depth because that's the whole question about 2 meters length, right? So let's make this 2 meter, and any other thing. That's it. So this is how it will look. Let's make this. We have to make this body. So let's generate it, and basically it has converted into a three-dimensional object. Here you go. So this is the beam we wanted. Very simple for now, but it's anyways in what we are doing is now in 3 dimensions, right? So this was the geometry part, and it's easy to do that. Let's save this stuff so that we don't lose it. And then let's continue further. So tute 1, right? Right. So a tick on the geometry means we have basically done the geometry part. Now we'll do the further portion of that, that is making the mesh and giving the boundary conditions. So let me first close this geometry section, and yeah, simply close it because anyways we are storing all this in the central module. So once the geometry is done, we go to the modeling part. Modeling, basically, we are going for the further pre-processing steps. Uh, so the computer that I'm working on is relatively slow. So it may take some time, but let's see what we can do in this. And then we'll do some more practical, I mean, more complex problems in the three-dimensional simulation, just to understand how it works and what we can do is a good exercise for today. So this one is opening. Okay. Perfect. So let me maximize it. Okay, so our beam is ready. We have done the geometry. And now if you remember our phase part, we have to basically assign some material to it. So let's click the geometry, and if you see there is one solid because there is just one geometry here. If there will have been more complex geometry, it will have so many solids, individual solids, which there will be. And in the when you click these, anything that you click here, the properties will be basically details will be displayed at the bottom. So here we can see its behavior, how even we can see statistics, and we can see what is the right now we have not done meshing, but if we have done meshing, we will see the nodes and elements. If we see its properties, we can see its volume. What will be the volume of this? So 8 into 10 to the power minus 2 meters square. And mass, so mass it has basically calculated based on some assignment of material. So yeah, it has already assigned structural steel as default. So that's what we want. But if in case we want some other materials to be there, like dump material or a sandstone, we can just simply click it and assign it whatever we require. And if suppose we click a dump material, so the details would change. So now mass has changed to 144 kgs. So all the calculations are done based on that because volume is automatically calculated. So let's keep the structural steel, and we can have some other effects like thermal strain effect is required. For now, not required, but it's just by default it's okay. So anyways, we are not doing that, so it doesn't matter. length, width, height, everything is given. So all details can be obtained here. So we have already assigned a structural steel. So let it be. The materials, that doesn't matter right now because we've already assigned. So coordinate system, if we want to make certain more changes, we have to basically change the coordinate system. So right now we are working on GCS, global coordinate system. So let's keep it that way. Coming to meshing. So meshing, it has a lot of options. So by default, it creates certain meshing, but we can change it. So let's see first what kind of mesh it generates by itself. So let's generate the mesh and see what is there. So it is basically made like square or rhombohedral nodes and rhombohedral elements and very uniform geometry. Suppose what we want to do is because we know that in between there will be high stresses or the deformation and the center will be highest, right? Because we are pulling at one end and this end will be fixed. So that can be seen, or even the deformation at ultimate length can be seen. So what we want to do is basically increase the mesh density, and also for that we can actually insert some more sizing characteristics. So we can give the mesh sizing. We just select the geometry here. If we select the face, we can give a face kind of meshing, but we want to generally increase the mesh size. So let's apply to the full body. And we can change either by element size. So we can give element size, or we can give a sphere of influence also. So a sphere of influence basically means that only in one sphere or region we want to increase the sizes or something. So we want to do it overall. So let's give the element size. So it is showing default element size is 0.1. So 0.1 is like 0.1 is 100 centimeters. So we want a little bit less. So let's go for 10 centimeters. Let's do that. Let's go for 10 centimeter, 0.01, right? And so that is done. We change the behavior to hard mesh. So hard mesh basically by putting the hard mesh, it basically overrules the existing meshes at whichever face, whichever side we want. And let's click generate again. And if you see after generation, the new it is generating right now. So let's see if it doesn't exceed number of elements that we can do it in regular amount of time. Otherwise, if too many elements are there, then also it will be a problem. 1 centimeter might be a bit too dense. Yeah, so it is done. So if you see the mesh, it is something like this now. But too many elements, it will take a lot of time to compute. And if you want to see how many elements and how many nodes are there, so you can see by statistics that it has around 345,000 nodes and 80,000 elements. So not required that much. We don't need, anyways, we are not doing any complicated analysis. So let's keep 0.05. And let's do that. I think it will decrease quite a bit. So we have to see what kind of analysis we are doing and what is the requirement right now. So we have just increased a little bit further. And if we now see what kind of analysis we are doing, we have just 3,600 elements or nodes or 640 elements. So that works for us for now. And so this was meshing. We can include any type of meshing also. We can even have graded meshing. We can have like meshing that is dense at middle or not so dense at the ends and so on. We can do that. So that also facilities there. So there are so many kinds of meshing refinement, contact sizing, face meshing, and so on. So based on what we want to do, what kind of meshing we want to change, we can do that, right? And now comes once we are done with the meshing, now comes the this one, our boundary conditions. So for boundary conditions, we can actually do many things in this also. So if we want to insert, we have so many things. We can give a standard acceleration, a standard earth gravity we can put, rotational velocity. We can all give all these to any of the face points, nodes, or the full body as well. So for now, for in terms of our question, if we see, there are basically two boundary conditions. One is on the edge, there is it is fixed, right? It can't move, and the other is the pulling force or the loading that is there. So let's put these two, and at the one end we have to put fixed support. So here is the fixed support. It can be easily applied to one face. So we can select a face by selecting what kind of selection we want. We want to select a vertex, one vertex. We can do that. We can select an edge. We can select a face. We can even select a full body. So all these things we can do, but we want a face right now. So we select this face, only this one, and click apply to the fixed support requirement that we did, right? So now this face will be fixed with fixed and restricted against the movement. On the other end, we want a force to be applied. So let's put that and insert a force. And if we select this edge and click apply, so this is the geometry that it will be applied on, right? And so how much force we want to give? Let's check it out. What was the question? So we want to give 10 tons, right? So 10 tons means, let's see in our way. Basically 10 tons is 10,000 kgs, right? And in terms of Newton, it is 9.81 if we multiply it. So it is 98100 Newtons. Okay, so we want to convert it in, give it in Newton anyways. So this is the value we feed, 98,100 Newtons, right? And which direction? So it has this direction. We can change the direction if we want. So we can either be a compressive like this or a tensile like this. So for now, in our question, it requires to be a tensile force. We just click apply. So it is the arrow basically indicates which direction the force will be. So I think that's it. We have two types of boundary conditions here. All others are free because we want it to be basically stretched. We want it to deform and so on. So one end is fixed, another is stretched. So that's the whole boundary conditions that are required, right? And we want some solutions. So what kind of solutions we require later on? We want deformation, right? So we will insert total deformation. We will insert directional deformation. So directional deformation can be in x-axis, and we can enter another directional deformation that will give us the values in y-axis, right? And we want, what else we want in our question? Maximum strain and location of maximum strain. So we'll do that as well. Maximum deformation in axial direction. Axial direction is the direction of pull. Radial direction is the direction against the pull, right? Perpendicular to that. So we have given an x and y axis. These are the deformations. X axis basically is in this direction. Yeah, so x axis is the radial direction here, and z direction actually. Let's see. So we have which kind of support we have? Yeah, fixed support is here, force is there. So we are applying basically force in z direction. So we want deformation in place of y direction, we want it in z direction. So let's put y and let's put it z here. So that's it. And we want a strain as actually. So let's put a strain requirement. Equivalent strain will do for us, or maximum principal strain will also do. That also works. And the location we can see by maximum principal strain. So that's the whole procedure for a setup. So pre-processing is done. Now we save this and solve. So we can directly solve it here just by clicking solve. It takes a little bit amount of time based on how many elements and how many calculations are there. That's why we tried and reduced it. So let's see how much time it takes. Uh, check the solver. What problem is there? Some problem happened. Okay, and update. So the solution is taking work, but some error update failed. कुछ तो error आ रहा है. Sorry. Something strange is happening. Generally, till generate solves and we get the solution. Strange. Okay. Let's remove this. Hold on. Okay. It has some conflict with the sandstone material that we took, but even though we didn't use it, some conflict is there. Let me just remove those sandstone and dump material. And now let's save this. Okay, and update the project, and hopefully this time it works. Wait. Some unseen error is happening. Let me reduce the solver pores because last time it helped. No. That is strange. Slides. कौन से स्लाइड चेंज नहीं हो रहा? स्लाइड तो मैं काम ही नहीं कर रहा. Let me check क्या हुआ. Some error has happened. GPU devices. Okay, okay. Array, yeah, okay, understood. We don't need GPU, none, and click OK. Now I can use 2 and just solve. So many things keep on happening. Anyways. Hopefully now it works. Yeah. So that was the problem. Okay. So now the solution is done. All the ticks are here. So if you click on the total deformation, you can easily see what kind of deformation you can see. And the maximum deformation we find is 2.4 into 10 to the minus 5 meters. So in 10 tons load for this kind of cross section, it will have just around 0.02 mm maximum load. You can, I think, you can change these in some way. I also don't remember how. I think display. No. So somewhere you can change the units here, but will take some time to find it out. But anyways, let me remove these mesh. So this was total deformation. You can see how it is basically fixed at this end and working at the other. So maximum deformation will be here, right? Because it is being pulled at that end. So total deformation in that sense. In directional deformation, we can see how things are working. So in sense, uh, in sense of this is in x-axis. So x-axis is basically this direction. So in this direction, there is not much change. But if you see the cross section, it says one of them was assumed to be fixed, and other was assumed to be moving. And basically, it is saying that in the center, it is 0. So if you see, this is minus to plus the same value. So basically, the material is contracting. So the maximum contraction with respect to center is this much, 3.7 into 10 to the power minus 7 meters. So this edge is contracting in towards the center, and again this edge is also contracting towards the center because it is being pulled at the other end, right? So that's what this x direction shows. So the axial, oh sorry, the radial deformation we can see here. The maximum deformation that is in radial sense will be 3.7 into 10 to the power minus 7 meters, right? And in y-axis, it's quite clear. We saw that 2.4 into 10 to the power minus 5. So even we can put this in minus z direction. Oh, okay. So that I think somewhere units I can change to make it more readable. But anyways, so we can get the maximum minimum values here. So minimum, it is saying 2.4 into 10 to the power minus 5, basically because we are seeing in z direction, and the maximum is in minus z direction. So that's why it is assuming this as 0 and this as negative deformation. So that's how it has plotted. We can change all these coordinates here. In terms of a strain, we can see how the strains are developed. So if you see, this was the fixed support, this one, and the force was applied here, right? So the strain that was developed, the maximum principal strain was at the strained points only, right? And you can see it is more into the restraints. So maximum stress strain developed will be 1.8 into 10 to the power minus 5, m per m, so unitless, right? And the locations will be on the edges only where the fixed support is there. So these kind of basic analysis is very easy. The complexity increases in geometry and shape. So the only part that takes time is the solving out the geometry part, right? Other things all are almost the same. So we can easily calculate the deformations, the stresses, the strains. Even more, we can actually see any more data we want. Okay, here I think we have the contours option. Yeah, so smooth contours we can have in deformation as well. So, and we can remove the edges. So now it is much better. And even we can simulate the loading. So if you see with respect to time how the loading happens, so I can see a small animation that will tell you how from 0 it will basically increase in deformation. The same thing can be done for x-axis deformation if you want to see in this direction, right? And if as the things increase, how uh, the contraction is happening and the metal contracts. So all these things can be very nicely, very intuitively represented by these finite element analysis options. Another thing I wanted to show was, let's say, the probe of maximum and minimum. So if we want to see the maximum and minimum values, so it can give us those values as well. And it can show us where they are and how much they are, right? So that's also we can do, and the data for that also can be obtained separately. We can also add queries as we did for the in case of our uh, for example in phase also we did those. So similar thing we can do all these things here. So this was a small demonstration for this how that we can do in 3 dimension. We'll take some more problems later on in computer applications, how we can solve our problems more in ANSYS and how practically they can be done. In the meantime, you do complete these problems, these basic problems of these simulations using limit equilibrium and finite element in your journals. Do complete this. We can discuss this in next class as many problem is there. So for now, we'll basically stop, right? So I hope you understood some aspects of three-dimensional modeling, how these are done, what all can be done, and what other capabilities are there we'll also see. In some of the later classes, we'll see how the fluid dynamics also works. So fluid flow, ventilation modeling, all these things we'll do. So yeah, let's stop here. If you have any questions, we can take them right now. Or otherwise, let's close the class. We'll meet for rock slope technology later at 3 o'clock then, right? Yes, any questions? Any discussions, any suggestions? Any doubts uh, in the problems that are there for the simulations? No?
Good morning, sir. So actually,
Yeah.
in the third problem of that assignment, the LEM one,
Mhm.
actually the factor of safety was coming very high. That was around 17, I guess.
17, acha. Okay.
I-
And
Yeah, I don't know
it,
how I.
okay, I'll also check. Maybe some values are faulty.
I
So
think there
do I
was
have
some problem with the cohesion because was
cohesion? Okay.
5 MPa.
It is 5 MPa. Just let me check.
You have
Right.
mentioned in the question 5 MPa.
Hold on. Acha, cohesion. Okay, okay, okay. Sub copy paste issues. Just a sec. Yeah, that's why. Hmm. Cohesion won't be so much. Young's modulus is already 800, so cohesion will be quite less.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's change this. Thank you for pointing that out. I think I only made mistake. One thing I also one thing very useful that will be that you all can use is a tool called okay, let me do it next time. So I'll give you I'll post you the updated properties of that this cohesion. Give me 5 minutes. I will check out the original values that I had. I think it's 50 mkp or something. Let me check out. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, let me check out and get back. So I'll post this in that reply for the where this teams in where that in teams where this assignment is there, right? Uploaded there, in below that I will change the give the updated values. Okay. Or I will do it in WhatsApp group, whatever. Okay. Anyone else tried others? Swati, you tried all of them?
No, sir. I started with the LEM because I wanted to finish all, since all these three problems were quite related. So I started with the third, fourth, and fifth, and then I'll move to first.
Yeah, that will work fine. Chalo, first we have already done in now 3-dimension. I think that will be easier now to do in 2-dimension and see if any of our results are matching. That will be a fun exercise. Okay, do it. I will give you the updated one. I think, yeah, you caught the culprit here. 5 megapascal is wrong. I think I copied it from somewhere and it was, yeah, here also. Yeah. Let me check out and update it. Okay. Shalom. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Anyone has any other problems? No? Shalom. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here. Take care of yourselves.